Okay, welcome everybody. Um, let's see, anything I want to start off the bat talking about? Um, so yesterday, Matt from Washington had his class, and it was in the middle of the day. So he opened it up for other people to join in. So Maureen joined me yesterday, and we sat in on Matt's class yesterday. That was kind of neat to see and hear other people's experience in other parts of the country. And one thing I noticed that was kind of interesting was a lot of things I hear my students talk about and experience over the years is neat to hear other students in a different part of the world who are doing the same training have very similar things kind of arise. So it's kind of neat. So we're all doing the same training. We all kind of experience very similar uh, interesting phenomenons and different things that are like, oh, that's pretty cool. So that was kind of neat. Um, so any questions that right off the top that you guys want to talk about? Since we're not going to get a chance to really practice, we'll do a meditation like we did on Monday, but mostly this is going to just be time to connect in and have discussion. So here's an opportunity to ask me questions about Qigong. It can be about my practice. It can be about your practice. It can be about Qigong in general. So any questions?
That's keeping it wide open there, Stephen.
I know. Still nothing. I came to.
I have a question, Stephen.
Okay.
Knowing that our practices are definitely helping our own, chi conservation and development and all of that, is our practice also helpful, especially in this time, like for outside of us chi, like are the practices that we're doing, can they actually have a benefit to other people who just in the world at large, like practicing outside? Can it be helpful during this time, or does it even affect anything? I mean, I like to think that it would, but since we are in chi and it's it's what we're in.
I'm trying to think. Somebody Monday asked about, if we're doing a meditation, could we include other people in it? And could it benefit, the world and, our communities and stuff? Definitely, as we develop, we're going to affect our direct relationships. I think we're really connected to our family. So I think as we develop, we can affect up and down generations. Just by changing ourselves and us doing the training, things for people around us can change as well. So is that kind of what you're asking?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. I definitely think that as we train, like it can help us, it can help the people we live with, it can help people that, we're close to. It can help a little bit. Yeah.
Can I share a
Sure.
thought on that, Stephen, if I may?
Yes.
Aside from involving my daughter in the training, she's actually seems to be getting some benefit just from building her arm strength from using the brick, for example.
Yeah.
And also I think I thought about at the moment, like, being at home with your family gives you a fair bit of time to contemplate and work out how you're going to, I guess, deal with the coming few months or however long it's going to be. And it's like thinking of strategies. And I thought, well, one key thing, and I think this kind of came up on Monday as well, is really like the focus on our own health and just making sure we take responsibility for our own health. So then it doesn't become a burden on society or our closer communities. Just looking in that respect.
Yeah.
A couple of things we've been thinking about over the past few days.
Yeah. And yes, hand washing and all that's pretty important, and social distancing, but taking care of your own health, like doing exercise, eating well, those are huge factors. And I keep seeing people trying to post stuff related to that in regards to, like, oh, the numbers of how many people are being infected, how many people are dying, and people are posting, yes, but this is how many people die every day from cancer, every day from diabetes, every day from heart disease. You know, it's like those numbers are huge compared to the few that die a day from what's going on now. And they're like trying to promote like healthy lifestyles and diet, and people are just bashing them and just like, are you an idiot? Like, this is a pandemic. This is really scary times. And just like, maybe. So, but definitely self-care is critical in regards
It
to
really
public.
depends on how you look at it, because like how much pollution has been stopped from not traveling.
Exactly.
I heard, I don't know if it's I don't know how true it is, but like I heard that in China they can see the skies in Wuhan now, or
Yeah.
some places.
Well, they have the NASA satellites, so you can see how much has actually changed.
Oh, cool. Yeah, that's a good idea.
And they can actually measure the particles in the air in California because it blows that direction. So they're noticing the air in California is much less toxic.
Yeah.
So,
And you guys have probably seen the canals of Venice, like there's dolphins and
yeah,
other fish in it, like because it's finally.
yeah.
I heard about the rubbish or the pollution has dropped significantly.
It's pretty cool.
So, any Qigong questions? Everyone's practice, they're getting some practice in, reaching out to other people to, get some two-person in if possible. Thumbs up. Start over, Jay. I had you muted.
Oh, is Luke on 2-person?
He is. He's currently not registered to train, but you can definitely train him and he train you. So reach out, since he does live on the street.
I would just, if he lives just a few blocks from me, so.
Yeah, I haven't seen him in a few months, so I just automatically took him off the roster because I hadn't seen him. So
Okay.
I know he kind of fades in and out and wants to come back in and start training, but he's a newlywed now, so we'll see how long it takes before him to pop back in.
Right.
Yeah. Let's see. Any other comments, questions? Okay. Let's see. I came prepared. Show and tell. Different books. So, it's probably backwards for you guys, right?
Nope.
Nope.
Okay, it's backwards for me. I'm looking at it. So different books that I've read over the years. This one, China's Super Psychics. This has some pretty cool stuff in there. It has the woman who can take like a cooked peanut and hold it in her hand and in real time make it sprout.
Wow.
Or she could take like a rosebud that's really small young rosebud. She can hold it and in real time make it bloom. There's all these little kids in here who can take like lead boxes with something on the inside and like stick it up to their ear, and they can actually look and see what's inside there and tell them. There's different people in there that take like a medicine pill bottles that's in one room and then move the pills from one room to the other room. So there's some pretty interesting stuff in there in regards to like the scientific scrutiny and stuff. There's a couple of studies about this guy. This is the Yan Shen Qigong book that I'm always referencing. And, he's the one who was in the hospital who, the guy had broken arms that were shattered, and they had the x-ray. And then in 2 hours, he had the guy doing push-ups and chin-ups. And the hands were completely back into complete order again. So he also did a study when he was in China taking a radioisotope, and they know how fast it degrades. So he could accelerate it or decelerate it based on what they wanted him to do. From in person and from, several kilometers away to China to New York, he was able to do that. So it's interesting to hear about these interesting stories of what people can do. But that's not the only reason to read this book. There's just a ton of useful, great information about Qigong in this book. Not so much like technical what to do, but just concepts and stuff. Most of the Qigong books I'll recommend don't have like a practice that goes with them. They're usually more stories or just like understanding versus like do this practice. What's another good one?
Will you hold those up again so we can do a screenshot, or at the end we can do screenshots of them?
I think most of them are on my reading list.
Okay.
That I can hand you again. Okay. This one, everybody's probably seen the picture of this old man. several times. He's always the one who's been advertised to live to 256, supposedly. And it's an interesting story because it's written by a general who met him when he was like 150, or he was already 200 and something. And Dr. Jung actually knows the general who wrote this book. So supposedly this guy, he became, it's kind of more like his biography from what, he taught a few students, but he left home at a really young age and went to the mountains to hunt for herbs with some old herb masters. So supposedly he didn't even start doing Qigong until he was like in his 100, till like he was 100.
Wow.
And then he did the basic 8 pieces of brocade. Right now you'll see a lot of the TCM doctors in China who are working a lot with the coronavirus. It shows them doing Qigong. That's one of the forms that they're doing, is the standing version of the 8 pieces of brocade. So there's a standing version and the seated version. This guy used to do the seated version. So kind of interesting stories about this guy. What else? This guy, the Mengus of Java, they call him John Cheng. That's not his real name, but that's just kind of what he goes by. There's YouTube's video, slight kind of documentaries about this guy. And the YouTube video that came out a long time ago was showing him lighting a piece of paper on fire. And that was done in a documentary back in the 80s. So interesting book. Opening the Dragon Gate. This reads kind of like Harry Potter. So a young boy finds 3 old Taoist masters, finds him, and basically teaches him their ways. And this is based on a real guy. So this guy is still alive and still teaching people. Chronicles of Tao, very similar as this. Once again, real person, really taught people. And this is actually 3 books that are combined into one. So fun read. I think the first book of this book is usually, I think it's broken into three different books. You can find the audiobook on Audible. I'm not sure what it's actually called, but I can find it for you. The Master Key, I like this guy a lot. He's really interesting. And it goes into a story about how he met his master. And there's another version of this book. It's called the Qigong Master. I saw that it was available from the same author, but I paid a lot of money for it, and I read it. I'm like, wait, it's the exact same book as this one. So I think that was the first pressing, and they rebranded it. So the Qigong Master and the Master Key are the same book. So don't pay $100 for the other book. There are some exercises in this book. I haven't done any of them, but the story part about him as a kid being sick and his teacher teaching him Qigong, and really fun to read. At one point, he was teaching him martial arts first, and some bullies in school took a hat from his best friend and beat him up. So then he came in there and he beat them up really bad and injured them really bad. And his teacher at the time says, you have a decision to make. I can keep teaching you martial arts and you'll be very proficient at it and be good at it, or you can go in the healing route. But the healing route's much harder. So he stopped doing the martial arts and he went the healing route. So pretty fun book. I don't even know what to think about this one, but it's, once again, it reads like Harry Potter. It's called The Fourth Uncle in the Mountain. And it's kind of like Qigong and magic and black magic and all kinds of weird stuff all mixed together. And this is about a Qigong master out of Vietnam. And the guy who wrote the book is a real person who's in the United States. And not Qigong related, the biology of belief, written by Bruce Lipton, very useful, easy read. He was a cell biologist who used to teach medical students biology, and then also a researcher. And as he studied more and more in the lab, he discovered that a lot of the stuff that he was teaching in medical school to the doctors just wasn't true because it wasn't what he was experiencing in the lab. So then he started applying some of those principles that he kind of discovered in the lab, realizing that, the environment has a big effect on the cell, whether it's the mental environment or the physical environment. So he started applying some of those principles, and then his life changed dramatically. Primary Perception is a book that Dr. Jung is, Dr. Jung hasn't referenced this book, but he references the scientist. And Clive Baxter was at the University of Kansas at the same time Dr. Jung was, but he didn't know of him back then. And Clive Baxter was a specialist in training like the CIA and different people how to use a lie detector test. And one day in this lab, he didn't have any subjects, so he was bored, so he hooked up the lie detector to the household corn plant and was like, okay, I'm going to interrogate the plant. But then he's like, well, how am I going to interrogate the plant? Like, it's not going to know anything. So what can I do to it? And he's like, oh, I can just take a lighter and I can light it on fire. And as soon as he said that in his mind or thought it, the meter went, he's like, wait, how's that even possible? So he spent the next 20 years studying what he coined the term primary perception in regards how plants can pick up on our thoughts. So there's another book that references his science called the Botany of Desire or Botany of something. It's a huge book, but this book is way better. And by George Burns, How to Live to Be 100 or More, the ultimate diet, sex, and exercise book. He has some good tips in here. One thing he did was he didn't eat dinner. He didn't eat on Sunday. He fasted. Well, he didn't fast. He drank martinis. It's kind of like fasting. So he had a really interesting exercise regimen and stuff, and such a simple little fun book to read. So those are some of my go-to Qigong books that I like to read that I suggest. Yep. Hopefully some of you guys have read some of them. Open the Dragon Gate one is one that a lot of people back in the day reference, and we used to always talk about it because, the training he went through was torturous. And back in the day, Dr. Jung would always tease us, oh yeah, how's the torture going? Like, but it's nice to get uncomfortable sometimes, people don't realize how sedentary and how comfortable we are. But then when we train ourselves to develop to this uncomfortableness, we can become resilient in times of need, like now. So, yeah. But if you guys have any good books that you recommend, send them to me. I love reading and learning these things and going over this stuff. What are you going to say, Rob?
I was like, so in summary, you're telling us all to fast on Sundays and drink martinis all day?
No, don't look at my Instagram. But we could definitely eat less. We definitely eat more calories than we need, for sure. So, yeah. What else?
I just read The Fourth Uncle, that one.
Say
It was
that
really
again?
good. The other one, The Fourth Uncle.
Oh, Ann, what are you saying?
Yeah. Oh, I just read it this week, and it's real calming because it kind of puts things in perspective, because he was doing meditation during the Vietnam War. He was meditating and bombs were going around him. It's like,
Right.
oh, we can do Qigong, but we have a small crisis of what's going on in these stories.
Yeah, for sure.
It was really good.
Yeah. Also, Robert Peng, when he first started studying with his teacher, it was during the Cultural Revolution. And so if it got found out that he was learning, his teacher could have been, because during that time, his teacher was a Buddhist monk. And at that time, Mao basically shut everything down. All the temples and stuff were shut down. Shaolin temple was all shut down. So he had to get a job. So he left the temple and he worked at this like a country club, working in the like where the furnace is and shoveling coal. So he taught him in private. So yeah, we live in a time now where like we have the freedom and we can do these arts and stuff without much restriction. So we were kind of lucky, and we didn't have to go through all the torture, you know, that for us to learn these pretty powerful practices and traditions. You know, Dr. John used to joke about like, yeah, you guys are lucky. You didn't have to come to my house and brush, you know, sweep my floor for several years. What do you got there, Jay?
Greg Braden.
Oh yeah, Greg Braden's awesome. I haven't
He and
seen
Bruce Lipton do things together, I know.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a video with Greg Braden talking about, he shows in China, a Qigong hospital where they're treating bladder cancer. And there's a sonogram where they're measuring the size of the cancer in the woman's bladder. And you can see how big it is. And they split the screen, and the other one's real time and the other one's a snapshot. And they have like 4 or 5 Qigong practitioners working on the woman. And they're chanting in Chinese. And in real time, you see the bladder tumor shrink. So, yeah, it's pretty cool stuff. What else? Let's see. What else can I talk about? Have you guys, many of you guys, newer students, seen this picture? This is a picture of Dr. Yang and Master Yang and Master Yang's wife and number 17. So I can bring this to class next time we're in person, but this is Master Yang. This is, they just called her mother, Mrs. Yang. I mean, Mrs. Master Yang's wife. This is Dr. Zhang, and this is dog, or number 17. So remember, Dr. Zhang was number 19. When Master Yang turned 50, he taught 18 formal students, and then he closed the doors and made it private. Prior to that, he taught, you know, martial arts to the military, taught Tai Chi in the public, but when he turned 50, he took formal students. Then he met Dr. Zhang, and he decided to teach one more student, and gave Dr. Zhang the lineage. So, yeah, that's the Master Yang that we're always referencing. So, any comments, questions?
Is he still alive?
Master Yang is not still alive. Yeah, he was 80 something when Dr. Zhang was training with him, and Dr. Zhang said, you know, they used to train in the park. I'll find a picture of the park they used to train in, because Dr. Zhang used to have a picture of like a tourist, like a guidebook for that city called Kaifeng. And in one of the pictures is this pagoda that they used to train by in this big park. And there was like this dead spot of grass that was in the picture. He's like, that's where we used to train, in the little dead grass spot. So I'll see if I can find a picture of that where they used to train. But yeah, before they would always train in the morning and stuff. And Dr. Zhang said Master Yang would get there before they would, and he would do, like towards the last several years, he would get there and do headstands in the park for 30, 40 minutes. So, but back then in China, they drank a lot and they smoked a lot. So he kept urging him to like quit smoking and quit drinking, but Dr. Zhang couldn't get him to stop. Yeah. Okay. Any other discussion things? You guys have my secret teachings? Yes.
Yeah.
That's
That it goes into like the energy of the body and how your energy actually communicates with plants and like the electromagnetics of the heart, which is really awesome.
Yeah, one of my students, he sent us to the Pure Energy group like a snippet of like one chapter in regards to the heart and that book. So I need to get that book because he says it's really good. So, and he's an acupuncturist
awesome.
too. So yeah, thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
Stephen,
Yes.
I have one question that keeps coming up in my mind, and it's you've mentioned how far Qigong goes back and by a different name as well. Is there a known origin, or like how far back does it go? Is there a point of origin or an evolution, or You know, has it got lost over the years?
I don't know if it's been lost over the years. I think it's been a pretty unbroken bit of information, but it's hard to really pinpoint it because they did use different names, and China is still so big. Um, so I mean, think about how big China is. They span over like 11 something time zones. It's a huge country, and they have lots of different dialects and stuff. So there might have been things called differently in different parts. But qigong, like I said in the past, is a new term. They've called it different things in the past, and I'm not sure what some of the other older Chinese names are, but they reference it, you know, in a lot of the medical classics that like over 2,000 years old. So yeah, I'm not a scholar or to know deeper than that. Yeah.
Sure.
Anything else? Okay. Let's see. Okay, let's do a meditation. Let me think of what I want to do. Any requests? That's not the longevity meditation? Guess not. Okay.
Why not that one?
It takes a long time.
Okay.
Okay, let's see. Any other? You might.
It's almost the equinoxes. They're
Oops. Go on and say that again.
meditation. So
There is a lot of
Spring.
yeah. So some people they look at like the spring equinox. If you look at it as a 24-hour clock, it's more like sunrise. Is like the equinox. So it's still up and climbing and stuff. Some qigong systems do have practices where you face east and you do certain meditations and stuff like that to calibrate to each of like the different equinoxes and stuff like that. Dr. Young doesn't have any of that for us. So maybe he knows stuff, maybe he wants to teach it, but for this lineage, we don't really go into that. But it's nice to observe that there are subtle changes in the energy with those shifts. So yeah, some qigong books do go into very specific meditations and practices due on those key dates and stuff. I know Robert Peng, he gives pretty frequently he does like a little empowerment that's tied in with those shifts, and he has one right now for the spring equinox. So yeah. Okay, well, let's go ahead and do a meditation. So just go ahead and close your eyes. Place your hands on your thighs or covering lower dantian. And just gently rest the tip of your tongue to where it touches the roof of your mouth. Just behind your front upper teeth. And just start to gather your mind and bring it back inside your body. Shifting your focus from outside your body, bringing it back in. It's like turning the flashlights inwards. So bringing this inner light back inside. And now that your mind is inside your body, go on and shift your posture a little bit to make the energy flow a little better. So you can imagine your spine being lifted from a string from the top of your head. So it lifts your entire spine upwards. Creating space between each vertebra, allowing the muscles to soften and relax. And just with your next breath, follow it all the way down into lower dantian. You can just feel the energy collecting in the lower dantian, getting denser and brighter. You can even see lower dantian slowly rotating. Let's add to this energy in lower dantian by taking in 3 morning suns. So just visualize a bright white morning sun about 10 a.m. in the sky. Connect to it. Pull the sun to you. Open the top of the head. Inhale and allow the sun to melt and pour straight down into lower dantian. And we create a second morning sun. Pull the sun to you. Feel the warmth all over your body. Inhale, let it melt and pour straight into lower dantian. And just close the top of the head. Lower dantian's bright and full. And just allow this light from lower dantian to radiate and illuminate the entire inside of your body. So allow the light to spread all the way to the tips of your fingers, to the tips of your toes, to the top of your head, brightening up all the cells. All the cells inside the body are bright white. Happy, healthy, strong, powerful cells. So while keeping your mind present in the moment, just enjoy this time to nourish your cells, allow the chi to recharge, harmonize, balance itself. If you come across any dark spots, just make those areas and those cells brighter. All the cells are happy and healthy, strong and powerful. There's that perfect balance and harmony between all the cells. All the cells know each other as if they're a family. Speaking the same language. Perfect communication between all the cells. If your mind wanders off, just bring it back. All the cells are bright white, happy, healthy, strong, and powerful. And just gather your mind back into lower dantian once again, allowing it to get brighter and fuller. We can take in a few breaths, drawing in all the energy from around the outside of the body and guiding it to the full moon in lower dantian. Once you have all the energy in lower dantian, allow lower dantian to stop spinning. So allow it to become still. And whenever you're ready, you can relax the mind and slowly open your eyes. And come on out. And we can rub the hands together and get them really nice and warm. Allow the heat from the palms and the energy of the palms to go into the eyes and the tissue around the eyes. Massage the eyebrows above and below. Rub the fingers over the scalp. Massage the back of the neck. Can massage and tug on the ears, rub the ears pretty well. And then tap. Okay. And for those of you at home that have a home practice, it would be good to train, after this, or even if you want to train beforehand and then jump onto the call, you can set the timing up that way. Or you can start your practice and then come in for the call and then go back into your practice afterwards. But if you pause, then just try to wake the energy back up and get the energy back in the location that you're training. And then do a good job of closing afterwards. Still, I don't think any of you guys need any adjustments with the form or where you are in your practice. So, yeah, if that comes up where someone like Jay here in about another week or so, I'll need to teach you guys some new practices, some new meditations. So we can just schedule something, or I can just pre-film it and then send it to you. Yeah. Let's see. Let's see, any other questions? I think that's it. Anything you guys want to say?
Stephen, I talked to Mark earlier today, and he was hoping to be able to make it to class tonight, but had to work. And he did want to give his email if anybody is wanting to, who's not already on his list, that might want to practice the form. He's going to be sending out more of those instructional videos again of the Chen Men Ching first third.
Nice.
So he might. I figure he might have everybody's email already, but I guess I could post his email, and anybody who's not can just send him his email.
Perfect. Yeah, and if you don't have Mark's email and you want it, you can always contact me and I'll pass it along as well.
There it is. Yeah.
Or it's in the chat below.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, well, that's it for now, I guess. If you guys have any questions or things you feel like could be a long discussion and you want to learn more about this practice, during this window of time, we can spend more time talking and less time practicing, then we should take advantage of it.
Sounds good.
Sounds
Thank
good.
you so much, Stephen.
Okay, I'll make
Yes.
another recording. I'll post this recording for the people that didn't make it. And then I'll send you guys a link for the Monday class.
Great.
Awesome.
Thank you.